Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I am Carissa Shaylin and I am a mom to an almost 9-month-old and a wife to a mechanical engineer. And today is going to be a little bit different of a video. So I don't know if y'all know who Jana Kramer is, but she played, that's right, she played Alex Dupre on One Tree Hill. She's a country music artist. She was also on Dancing with the Stars. So if you don't know her, go look up her. She has a podcast called The Wind Down with Jana Kramer and Michael Costin, which is her husband. She's married to an ex-NFL player. Anyway, so 2 weeks ago, so 2 podcasts ago, not this week but last week, she had a few of her girlfriends on the podcast and was pretty much like, hey, the Mom Olympics was like the subject. And one of the girls was, or like the concept was, if you were to get a gold medal for being a mom in a certain like division of being mom, what would you get it for? Some people were like, oh, I get it for having my baby on a schedule, which I totally would too, because Colton's got his schedule and he's got it down pat. But another one of the moms was breastfeeding, which, disclaimer right here, I do not care if your kid is breastfed, formula fed, fed through a tube, whatever. I believe fed is best. As the title of this video, fed is best in my opinion. And yes, I'm a formula mom. Let's get that out of the way. So what prompted me to do this video is how much shame Jana and a few of her other friends. Jana knew going into it that with Jace, her son, that she was not going to breastfeed. It caused a lot of anxiety and other stuff with her first, Jolie, and yeah. So when there was a section in it also that the hospital, like the nurse staff and stuff like that, were really harping on the moms and how could you not breastfeed, blah blah blah. Now let me tell you, like, some of you who don't have kids will be like, no, that's not true, nurses wouldn't do that, blah blah blah. Or some of you might be nurses and you might think the same thing, like, yeah, breast is best, like you should totally do, you're screwing up your kid from the get-go, blah blah blah. Now, to my point of view and my story, I knew from before I was even pregnant that I was gonna formula feed my kids. I knew from the get-go. I got pregnant and people would still ask, hey, are you gonna be breastfeeding or are you gonna formula feed? I knew, again, I'm formula feeding. I am not going through the whole breastfeeding process. It's not gonna happen. I wasn't breastfed. I had several friends who were not breastfed. My husband apparently wasn't. Like, look, my husband's a mechanical engineer. I'm doing just fine. Like, I don't have health issues. I don't have anything else. I'm never really ever sick. All this other stuff. When you go to school, your teacher cannot decide you were breastfed, you were not, whatever. Now, I went to a baby-friendly hospital. What that means is that they advocate for breastfeeding. Now, I knew I could not be the only one to feed my child. I was not going to exclusively breastfeed because I knew depression, anxiety would get the best of me and I would be aka a bad parent, because I knew that I would go down a bad rabbit hole, that I could not be the only one feeding them. I was not going to pump because, like, I'm not going to deal with any, I already have issues, self-confident issues up top. I'm not going to deal with trying to figure it out, and the stress and anxiety, even right now, thinking about it, like, stresses me out. So I was not going to do that. So come time for me to be in labor, mind you, I was in labor for 30 hours before I ended up having a C-section with Colton. I also had gestational diabetes with him. So there's also pros to being a formula-fed kid. And I'll get to that in a minute. Now, with that being said, I was induced because if you have to take any kind of medication with gestational diabetes, they won't let you pass 40 weeks. So I was 39 weeks on a Tuesday. I went on a Wednesday night to get induced at 7 p.m. They started the induction process. I ended up getting induced, proceeding quite nicely, and then there was other issue like oxygen and fetal distress, and I ended up getting to 9 on one side of my cervix and 10 on the other, and my other half would just not go. So they said, you know what, we're gonna have a C-section, and I went in on Good Friday, the 19th of April, and baby boy was born at 1:19 a.m. Yes, very, very early. I was very, very exhausted, and yeah. So as I was in the hospital for 30 hours of labor, I went through a few nurse changes, as you could imagine. With that, I had to answer questions to every new nurse. And one of the questions they ask is, are you going to breastfeed? And my instant reaction was, no, I am not going to breastfeed. Now, some of the nurses in my labor side were totally cool. They were like, okay, like, no problem, no big deal. Like, we'll have formula ready in your recovery room. You'll do great, whatever. Some of my nurses did ask, like, oh, like, why not? Whatever. I was like, look, like, it's just not for me. Really not judgmental. I didn't have such a problem on my labor side. Now, cut to after literally getting cut open to my recovery room. I was in my recovery room from Good Friday to Easter Sunday. I got to leave on Easter Sunday mid-afternoon, or mid-morning, I should say. So I can't tell you how horrible my postpartum nurses were. They were rude, inconsiderate, very not helpful in the sense of, like, they would be there just to, like, actually, I guess, aka do their job of checking my vitals, making sure that I stood in a certain amount of time, make sure that my bowel movements were there, like, progressing, and making sure my pain medication was there. Not once was it like, I take that back, one nurse who was super, super duper sweet. Otherwise than that, they were all just like, I don't know, like, not nurse bedside friendly, I guess. Whatever. Of course you have, like, visitors and all this other stuff when you have a new baby. Fine, whatever. But one of my biggest problems with these nurses my postpartum nurses. Not one. I asked every single one of them, do you have kids? Not one had kids. Now, I feel like in a small part of me, just a small, because like I said, I had one really sweet nurse who did not have a kid, but one small part of me feels like if you do not have kids, you should not work in labor and delivery, in a way. Only because, like, you don't know that feeling. And I could never say to another parent prior, like, how to parent your kid or whatever, like, because you don't know. There is, like, such a drastic change in your life when you have a kid, and I thought prior to having Colton, like, I knew it all. You're a bad parent because you did the da-da-da-da-da, or this, and this, or this, and this, or blah, 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 or that person's a great parent because they do da-da-da-da-da. Till I had a kid, that was not the case. That was a huge misconception. Now, after having a kid, like, some of these things, I was just like, really? I'm not feeling this. So like I said, not one had a kid. Number 2, after that, every single one was so judgmental about me not breastfeeding. Oh, don't you want to try? You know, you're setting yourself up to a like pretty much being a bad mom that you're not giving your kid like this stuff. Oh, you're not breastfeeding? Are you sure? I can get the lactation consultant to come in so that you can do it. Just because you haven't done it yet doesn't mean that you can't still try to do it. Mind you, when you don't breastfeed, like, your milk's still gonna come in. So I was already prepared for that to happen. And, mind you, it hurts like hell. I did not get my milk until a week later. So there's that thing. Like, I could tell I didn't get them because all of a sudden they hurt like hell. Everything was flowing. So already right there, you're kind of thinking to yourself, well, gosh, he wouldn't have fed. I mean, yeah, colostrum, all that, but really, in hindsight. Number 2, on the whole, since I had gestational diabetes, it had a high chance that Colton was going to have low blood sugars. With that being said, he did have 2 low blood sugar readings, which means that if he has low blood sugar, 9 times out of 10, they are going to offer him formula to get his blood sugar up, because your breast milk won't get it up nearly as fast because you kind of don't produce nearly as fast. So they'll give your kid a bottle so they don't end up in the NICU. My kid also had jaundice. I was able to go home because he was able to drop in jaundice levels because he was on formula, because he's getting that intake faster with all the different calories and being able to pee it out. So he was eating a lot faster and he didn't lose so much weight. He lost, I think, a couple ounces and then gained it back by his week appointment. So he's not getting another conception is that they get overfed. He is right in his percentile the whole time. He has not changed. He has not gone way up. He hasn't gone way down. He has literally stayed the exact same since birth. So, again, nothing wrong. He has not gotten sick except for right now. Literally, this is the first time he's gotten sick in 9 months, where I have had friends who are breastfed and their kid is sick already prior to like these 9 months. So again, I'm not saying that breast isn't best. I think there are amazing qualities, and I think you guys are rock stars. I have friends who breastfeed all the time, and I applaud you. Like, obviously I knew I couldn't do it. I knew I couldn't be the sole person. I know it's a full-time job to breastfeed. Like, if you aren't feeding that baby, you're probably pumping because they hurt or whatever. If you had to go back to work and pump, like, honestly, you guys are rock stars and you guys are awesome, and it's a full-time job, and honestly, you guys are awesome. Now, when it comes to feeding tube babies, you guys are rock stars too, because those babies are getting the nutrition they need. May not be through a bottle, it may not be through the breast, but they are getting nutrition that they need through something. And that's why I say fed is best. Like, honestly, any way to feed your baby, do it. Just do it, because they deserve the best. Not just the breast or a bottle or two, whatever combination you have to do to make sure that baby is full and happy and whatever. Like, do you, and stop mom shaming. Like, this is ultimate, the moral is stop mom shaming. Like, the amount of depression that it gets put on the moms who either formula feed or maybe I don't know, on the feeding tube, but definitely like formula moms, like the shame that like you're not doing what's best for your baby is so real and so awful. Like, it makes me sad, like, and you feel unconfident like feeding your baby either in public or whatever because the shame of that. But then you have people who also are getting shamed for whipping out their boob to feed their baby. Like, no, let that mom like feed her baby. Like, let it, you know what, you're gonna eat, so why can't they go and eat? So either way, like, you're getting shamed, and we shouldn't be. We should be empowering each other and lifting each other up, and however you get to lift each other up and get that like whole thing, make sure that we all support moms and get it together, like, because at the end of the day is a healthy baby that gets fed, because without getting fed they're not gonna stay healthy. That's kind of where I'm at. And I just, back to like the whole, they say like postpartum depression is reduced by like breastfeeding possibly. Like, I know for a fact that that wouldn't have stopped my anxiety or a little bit of the depression that I did encounter, because it would have just made it worse, because I would have been like this sole person to have to take care of him in that way of like feeding constantly. Like, nope, you gotta give it to me. It gave Ricky a chance to bond with him. It gave my parents and anyone who does feed him a chance to like kind of bond with him. He enjoys being with people, and like it gave that new solidification to all these different people. Like, Ricky was my night person. He was my night shift. He was able to feed him. He was able to do whatever got done. So we got to trade off, and it was a happy medium for us. Now, breastfeeding moms, like, I feel so bad for you guys, because you are the sole provider for that kid, and you guys work so hard, and I'm so proud of you, and you guys rock. And I can only imagine like the amount of work you guys have to put into it. You guys, honestly, rock stars. I'm so proud of you. Again, like, I can't say that enough, because I can only imagine how much you guys sacrifice to do that. I just, honestly, the whole inside the hospital, like, if you are a labor and delivery nurse and you work more on the postpartum side, please, if a mom says that she wants to formula feed her child, please don't shame her for it. Just be like, oh, okay, no like, let me go get that for you, let me start on whatever. Like, please, 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 because it gives that mom, that brand new mom, or if you've already had kids, like, it gives them so much guilt. And you don't want to put a brand new mom who just is so happy to finally have her kid earthside, that guilt and that awful feeling that she's not doing good enough already within the first 15 minutes. Like, no, just please, like, be supportive. That's all moms need, is support. And if you don't have kids, support the women in your life and saying you're doing a good job. That's all we need to hear, because at the end of the day, like, as a mom, like, you're always questioning, am I making the right choice? Am I doing a good job? Even though that kid is loving you, because you were made for that kid. Nobody else, not one. That kid solely depends on you as a parent, and they think you are doing wonderful. At the end of the day, they think you are amazing. And I myself even need to say that to myself, like, take that advice and be like, you were made for Colton. Like, Colton thinks you are wonderful, and that's the best thing in the world, because there's no better mama for that baby than you. They were made for you. Just remember that, and support and love. And that's all I can say for today. Whether your baby is fed from a tube, from a bottle, or from the boob, you're doing the best you can, and what's best for you and what's best for that baby. And at the end of the day, as long as they are fed, that's all that matters. So I love you guys also so much. You have no idea, so much. Please, if you liked today's video, give it a thumbs up. And if you are a mom, comment down below and tell me what your best moment of today was, that you feel like you're doing a good job. I just want to see positivity down in the comments of what makes you feel like you're a great mom today. Today, I would say that me was getting my baby to smile by, like, dancing with him and all that. And it, mind you, it's only 10 in the morning right now while I'm filming this. So we still have, like, a bunch of more time to find out if that's the best part of my day and making me feel like a good mom. I hope you guys have an awesome day. I love you also so much. And if you like today's video, again, give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, know when I'm posting next. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye!